Alright, let's have a little chat about math, shall we? Today's topic, mixed numbers. First, before we talk about mixed numbers, we're going to have to figure out the difference between proper fractions and improper fractions. As you can see here, a proper fraction is a positive fraction whose numerator is less than its denominator. That would look something like this, because 3 is less than 4 and 5 is less than 12. Those are proper fractions. An improper fraction, however, has a bigger top than bottom. The numerator is greater than or equal to its denominator. So some examples of that would be 4/3 or 12/5. Okay, when the top is bigger than the bottom, you've got yourself an improper fraction. Improper fractions are top heavy. But wait a second. Hold on one hot minute here. I thought that we earlier had said the fractions are always representing a blank out of blank statement, like 1/8 represents 1 out of 8, which makes sense because that would be like 1 of the 8 pizza slices that makes up a whole pizza. So how could you have an improper fraction like 9/8 if 9/8 really means 9 out of 8? How could you have 9 out of 8 pizza slices? There's only 8 pizza slices there. Well, maybe this kind of could make sense if you think of it this way. If you have one whole pizza where you have 8 of the 8 pizza slices and you're still hungry and you have another slice, which is 1 out of 8 slices to make a whole pizza, you've had 8 slices plus 1 more 1/8 of a pizza, and that would give you a total of 9 slices, right? 9/8 of a pizza. So you can see how it's possible to have an improper fraction. You can see how it's possible to have the top of a fraction be greater than the bottom of a fraction. 8 slices plus 1 slice makes 9 slices. So 9/8 is a perfectly legitimate number. It's a perfectly legitimate improper fraction. But wouldn't it be right to say that 8/8 is one whole pizza? And then if you add another 1 slice, which is 1/8 of a pizza, wouldn't we say that that's 1 plus 1/8? Well, yeah, you could say that you have 1 and 1/8 of a pizza, and you can take the plus sign right out from in between the 1 and the 1/8, and now what we have is 1 and 1/8, which is really the same thing as 9/8. 9/8 means a whole plus 1 more extra eighth. This 1 and 1/8 is finally what we would call a mixed number. Why do we call it a mixed number? Because it's a mix of wholes and fractions. There's a big number in the front that tells you how many whole pizzas there are, and then there's a fraction to tell you how many leftover slices there are. For instance, if you were the Little Caesar dude and for whatever reason you enjoyed putting pizzas on spears and then eating fractions of them, let's say you were like, pizza, pizza, and then pizza, I'm pretty full, I'll just eat another 5/8 of a pizza. You would have a whole pizza, another whole pizza, another whole pizza, and 5/8 of a pizza. And if you added that up, the first pizza would be 8 out of 8 slices, plus the second pizza, which is 8 out of 8 slices, and the third pizza, which is also 8 out of 8 slices, plus the fourth pizza, which wasn't a whole pizza, it was 5 of the 8 slices. What would you have? Well, there's a couple things you could do with this. You could say you have 3 and 5/8, because don't you have 3 whole pizzas and then 5/8 of an additional pizza? This is a mixed number. It's a mixed number because it's a mix of a big whole number, like 3, and then 5/8, which is a fraction. Okay? But wouldn't it be true that if you had 8/8 and 8/8 and 8/8 and 5/8 and you added all those 8s up, wouldn't it be true that you ate 29 slices of pizza? Yes, it would be true that you ate 29/8, which would be 29 pizza slices. So, what we're going to try to see here is that for any mixed number, you can write it as an improper fraction, and for any improper fraction, you can write that same number as a mixed number. These are really just two versions of the same number. Here's another example. What if you wanted to take a mixed number and convert it into an improper fraction? I'll pick a more simple mixed number, 2 3/4. I'm going to give you some steps to do this. Okay? The first step would be you have to take the denominator times the big number. In this case, it's 8 because the denominator is 4, the big number is 2. You multiply them together and you get 8. The second step is going to be plus the numerator. What was the numerator in this case? Well, it was the 3 on the top of that 3/4. Then you're going to put it all over the denominator. What denominator? The denominator that you started with, the 4. So if you finish this problem up, you're going to have 8 plus 3, which is 11/4. So how do you take 2 3/4 and turn it into an improper fraction? Okay, you do denominator times the big number plus the numerator, put it all over the denominator, and you have yourself an improper fraction. So 2 3/4 equals 11/4, and 11/4 equals 2 3/4. Here's one more example for you. 5 1/7. First, denominator times the big number. That's 7 times 5. 35. Then add the numerator. What's the numerator? That's right, it's 1. So you're going to add 1, and you're going to put it all, step 3, over the denominator, which is 7. So what's 35 plus 1? 36. What's your answer? 36/7. So 5 1/7 is equal to 36/7, and 36/7 is equal to 5 1/7. I think we got it. Why don't you give it a try? If you need to pause the video right now so that you can try this on your own, do that, and then we'll pick up in just a second. All right, let's go the other way. Let's turn an improper fraction into a mixed number. What if you're starting with a top-heavy improper fraction and you want to turn it into a mixed number where there's a mix of wholes and fractions? I'm going to give you another 3-step process, but it all starts with the idea that a mixed number always has a big number, and then a numerator, and then a denominator, right? So I'm going to give you a 3-step process to figure out what to put in those 3 boxes. Step 1 is going to be the denominator. And this is the easy part. The denominator always stays the same. So what was our original denominator? 5. So what's our denominator going to be? 5. Yay. Step 2 is going to be, how do we get that big box filled in? What's the big number in the front? Okay, the big box, you're going to do top divided by bottom. What I mean is, go to the original fraction that you started with, the 31/5, and take the numerator divided by the denominator. So 31 divided by 5. Does 5 go into 31? It doesn't go into 31 evenly, and that's why I have in parentheses there, round down. So how many times does 5 go into 31? Well, it goes into 36 times, okay, and then it has a remainder of 1 left over, which leads us to step 3. That remainder is going to become your new numerator. And voila, you have 6 1/5, which is equal or equivalent to 31/5. Let's try one more just for practice. 11/4. Step 1, the denominator always stays the same. If you have fourths, you have fourths. Keep them fourths. The big box is going to be whatever 11 divided by 4 comes out to. Now if it was 12 divided by 4, 4 would go into 12 3 times, but it's not 12, it's 11. So it doesn't quite get to 3. We're going to have to round down to 2. But how many leftovers are there? Well, 4 times 2 is 8. Okay, the next multiple of 4 is 12, but it doesn't get there. It's 1 shy of that. So it goes 8, 9, 10, 11. And that 9, 10, 11 is your remainder. There's 3. So 11/4 becomes 2 3/4. 2 3/4 is equal to 11/4, and 11/4 is equal to 2 3/4. All right, There's other ways of doing this, but I think if you follow these steps, you'll be just peachy keen. Here's your second practice problem. See if you can take 14/3 and turn it into a mixed number. Thanks for listening. Remember that math is everywhere. Adios.